Hi, David here, and I'm going to give you my opinion as far as what I think is going to happen with WWE's attempted purchase of Ring of Honor. Now, personally, I do hope it comes to pass, and I do hope WWE does purchase Ring of Honor. However, I do not think it is probably going to happen. Actually, I take that back. If Vince throws his money at it really, really hard, then yes, it will happen. But if he doesn't and plays it safe, then it won't happen. So it really depends on how much Vince McMahon is really interested in purchasing Ring of Honor. Okay? Now, as far as Ring of Honor goes, I don't want the promotion to close down even though it is purchased by WWE. I want it to stay open, but I want it to be a little bit different than what it is now. So, right now, Ring of Honor has a partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and the two companies basically have a way of having New Japan get its foot in the door in the American market. And New Japan, I would say, is probably the second best company in the world right now behind WWE. I would definitely say they're number two in terms of what they do, but they're still a slightly, I would say, how they are a pretty big distant two. Okay, but they could potentially be a very close to if somehow that they went international. But Vince will never let that happen. Hence the reason why I think he's strategically purchasing Ring of Honor to prevent New Japan from becoming a potential WCW. And with Ring of Honor, there's a ton of talent there. I mean, a ridiculous talent. Like, if you look at their WWE's roster right now, so much of the talent pool has come from Ring of Honor. It's scary. Or a couple of other places. But so much of it has originated from Ring of Honor. So I will give Ring of Honor a lot of credit for what they've done. And WWE should think strategically about how to use Ring of Honor going forward. So this is what I would do. I would think of WWE in terms of specifically a tiered baseball system. Now, you have your Performance Center, which is your single A affiliate. This is where the wrestlers weight train, work out, learn the basics, but really do not get any television time. Then I would specifically use Ring of Honor as the double A affiliate. The first place you go to get TV time in WWE. Unless you're being purchased and brought in as an outside performer. And what I mean by that is if you are bringing a wrestler in from another company that is outside of WWE control, then at that point, they could either appear on Ring of Honor, the Performance Center, or the AAA affiliate, NXT. Or in extreme, rare circumstances, AJ Styles-like circumstances, the main event already, the Major Leagues, SmackDown Raw. Okay? And preferably SmackDown of the two would be where I would put them, not on Raw. So Kenny Omega, if you do come, I'd prefer you on NXT to start, but I could say SmackDown would be a good choice as well. just to get you ready. Okay? I would not put you on Raw. Raw needs to work on its writing. SmackDown, on the other hand, has done phenomenal in its writing department. So I think SmackDown is really, really, really good right now. I mean, heck, it reinvented The Miz it made The Miz must-see TV. It's done a great job with its wrestlers. So I think overall, I'm very happy with what SmackDown has done. Raw needs a lot of work. Now, if Roman Reigns goes to SmackDown, hopefully he does not get what he deserves and falters and basically falls off the map and goes to TNA, which is where I want him to go. Sorry, Roman fans. I know there's only about 10% of you out there. But, yeah, I want him in TNA. Gone. Okay? With all the other WWE rejects. A few of them being accepted where I would like them to come over. Like the Wolves. I definitely like Eddie Edwards and his partner. But there's very few people in TNA I would really want right now. Very few. Lucha Underground has a lot more potential of people I would want. Same with Ring of Honor, which, if WWE purchases it, I will be ecstatic because there's a ton of ridiculously good talent in Ring of Honor. And New Japan. Then there's other companies like Pro Guerrilla Wrestling, the British scene, the Mexican scene specifically. So, we can see. Now, I can safely say that WWE is probably going to have the stranglehold on women's professional wrestling very soon. I'm fine with that. Especially if they can land and secure Io Shirai, but we'll see what happens. Okay. But sorry to go into women's wrestling right now. Ring of Honor was really what I wanted to talk about. Now, as far as like the tape library, we all know what we would do with the tape library. We would put that into the phenomenal vaults of what WWE has, and you could make so many great videos of AJ Styles, Austin Aries, Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. I mean, just think of how many guys, CM Punk, how many guys that originated in Ring of Honor. There's a ton of them. And it would be great. It would be great. So, I mean, that's something I would do. And, that's where I would put them. Like, I'd definitely use them. Now, as far as the wrestlers go, this is the really interesting dilemma. You have a ton of really good talent there. I would want it split between Ring of Honor and NXT. And at the end of the day, the AA and AAA affiliate, and then you can move guys like Tommy End into Ring of Honor and a couple other really good guys who are in the Performance Center that haven't moved up yet. I mean, that'd be a great way of giving TV time without like oversaturating specifically NXT, and then you can build up. And I would probably use, I'd probably say Ring of Honor as more the tester of the guys as far as working on the gimmicks and all that stuff. And I would think about using NXT more as the finished product. The guys who are pretty much ready to be on the main roster, who just need to wait for their call-ups. With a couple exceptions where there are some guys who need to work a little bit on it, but I mean, certain aspects of their ability in the ring or microphone. So if it's just basically based on how you're rated. So your top level, you're just below that, or you're entering the company for the first time level in those two mid areas, and then just your people who just aren't ready to be on TV. It just depends on where it is. Okay, now as far as the wrestlers that are in Ring of Honor, there's a ton of them. I mean, you have your Young Bucks, who I desperately want in WWE. I don't think they want to be there, because think they want doing their own thing. How they're like the king of the indie scene. They're really, really, really good at what they do, and they're special. They're very special. And as much as I really want them to be in WWE, and I think it would be wonderful for the matches and all those things where you could see teams like the New Day face them. You could see the Hardys again. You could see so many wonderful tag team matches with the Young Bucks. And they would do a phenomenal job in the company if they just ever came. Look at another wrestler, Jay Lethal, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly. These are all guys Bobby Fish. These are all guys who would be very successful, in my opinion, in specifically what they do. And I think there are other guys who would do an amazing job. Ultimately, I think there's a lot of them. So, I mean, you could talk about some of the old great wrestlers that are on their roster. Like, you could talk about specifically Christopher Daniels, Kazarian. You could talk about specifically Alex Shelley. And you could talk about specifically his tag team partner, who's part of the Motor City Machine Guns specifically. They're wonderful guys who I would definitely use as men in the in NXT or Ring of Honor WWE affiliate as guys that can get you over as veterans. I don't see them, Chris Sabin, sorry, I was trying to think of the name, as guys who will actually hit the main roster, because I don't think they're that amazing. I mean, they'd basically be like the Bo Dallas level at that point, based on how much talent is out there. But veterans would be useful. And then you have the Briscoes that I think are fantastic. You have a young wrestler by the name of Will Ospreay, who is insanely young and insanely good. You had Kenny King, who I think is fantastic. Dalton Castle, who's fantastic. So, I mean, you have a lot of guys in specifically Ring of Honor that I would definitely keep. The hardest guy to keep, I think, would be Cody Rhodes, because I don't see him wanting to stay. I just don't. I see him... the best thing for him would just be an outright release from his Ring of Honor contract and move to New Japan. Honestly, I think that'd be the best thing for him. But the rest of them, I really would like to see in WWE. And I think the one team that, if they were to ask for a contract release, the Young Bucks, or I think that's the one team I would look and say, listen, I know that you guys like the indie scene and like it a lot, but before you go, just give us a shot for a year. Let us show you if we can be what you like and work with us. If we aren't, then in that time, ask for your release. We'll make it fun for you guys. Where WWE is certainly changing what they are as a company. I mean, years ago, someone like Daniel Bryan would never have his WrestleMania moment like he did. This whole big Ring of Honor change would never happen. It would be all ex-football players, ex-bodybuilders. WWE is changing. They're becoming more athletic. They're looking at a company like Ring of Honor as what we must do to compete and trying to be safe. So that is them as a company looking at it and trying to stay ahead of the times. And I look at it and say, and Triple H is soon to be running it with Stephanie and not Vince. So Vince is smart and a smart businessman, and Linda McMahon is insanely smart, even smarter than Vince. No one thinks it, no one talks about it, but Linda is the brains behind Vince, ultimately, especially in managing the company. But Triple H is a creative genius, and Stephanie is smart, and having Shane back, even if he's not in a main role, is smart. And you have in-house Paul Heyman. Now imagine if you can bring some other great visionary geniuses back into the fold that WWE's had in the past. Why not? You could do wonderful things with their company. And maybe surprise us with some more talented guys. So we'll see what happens in the future. But if they were to land Ring of Honor and sign it, that would be a big change for WWE. Now, as far as the whole world of wrestling, if WWE signs and takes control of Ring of Honor, this will be a major, and I mean major, insane change into in the world of wrestling. I mean, this is basically the territories all over again. So if I were Vince, I would look and say, and I were some of these other companies, I would try to buy up all the top companies. Try to buy up all the smaller companies and use them, and it's going to become a major wrestling hemorrhage where you have probably about four major powers in the world, I would probably say, at the end of the day. And maybe three. I think New Japan is a power. I see WWE as a power. For TNA, as much as it pains me to say it, will be a power only for the simple fact that it's gonna get all it's got a lot of money behind it in Anthem Sports now. It has Global Force Wrestling under its banner. It just made a deal with AAA. So it pains me to say it that it's a power. And it wouldn't surprise me if, and they have some other agreements with a couple other companies, so they're a power. And then there's another company, I think in Mexico, that's going to be a power too. I forget the name of it, but no, Lucha Underground might be the next big shoe to drop as far as a company afterwards, with partnering with another company. Now, the Ultimate Kingmaker, in terms of evolution of this new wrestling industry, would be if somehow someone gets specifically, and I mean specifically, New Japan. New Japan, I think, is the second best company in the world. But I don't see them buying up or them working towards buying anyone up. Okay? So, if they start in the buying process, that would be smart. Or if they want to merger with some of these other companies that's still lingering around, which I would do if I were them, like I'd do it in a hurry if Ring of Honor falls. I'd probably get in the contract PG Pro Gorilla Wrestling or Lucha Underground and try to work with them. Certainly I would buy Stardom if I were them. So that's what I would do. Now I'm going to move to another subject, which is the women's wrestling. Okay? Right now, the men's wrestling, you can honestly say WWE has a huge stake in, but I think with this new women's tournament that they're going to do, the women's wrestling division in WWE will be, no one can touch them. They will be the quote-unquote best for women's wrestling in the world. And everyone who's not part of them will probably have to filter through them at some point. Especially if they can land Io Shirai with a contract. They already got Kairi Hoja. They already got pretty much every major. I probably assume they'll have every major female that's in the indie scene in North America with them. We'll see what happens with that. So, we'll see with who they have in their women's tournament. If some of the names that are rumored to be there, or some of the names that are huge out there that haven't been announced, this could be the thing that cements WWE as the only place for women's wrestling. Especially if Shirai and Hojo are there. Okay? So, thank you for my opinion and listening. I'm signing off for the day.